Hello everyone, I am Venkata, Principal Architect at Qyrus. Today I am going to talk about session persistent feature of test orchestration, which is a flagship service from Qyrus. Before we get into the actual session persistence, let's look at the problem statement. Let's imagine a loan processing application in a bank. Assume a customer opens a mobile app and tries to book or apply for a loan. Later, from the bank, an underwriter reviews the application using a web portal, approves requests for additional information. Later, the customer provides all the information that is needed, and the underwriter approves the application. So this is a multi-channel, multi-step scenario where there are multiple systems and multiple user roles. In typical automation, these scenarios or steps are tested separately as individual components with fresh session. Okay. However, with the test orchestration, that is not the scenario. So let's look at what is test orchestration. Test orchestration enables teams to orchestrate or build end-to-end workflow or tests across multiple services. For example, a web testing service, a mobile service, or API service, or a desktop service. Okay, this allows seamless validation of complex and real-world scenarios. So, what is session persistence? Session persistence is the capability of maintaining the execution state across different scripts in a workflow. Okay, ensuring that the automated tests are like a continuous real user journey rather than individual pieces of steps. Okay, session persistence can be retained for 24 hours or more. Session persistence can be enabled only on the scripts which are not the last scripts of the flow. Okay, because the last scripts doesn't have any more flow. So that's where we don't give an option to enable session persistence on the last nodes. And now that we have discussed about test orchestration and session persistence, let's go deep into it and see how it works.
So right now I have logged into the application. Let's see the session persistence in action. So let's navigate to test orchestration service. In test orchestration service, I have created a project by name session persistence, in which I created a workflow which says bank application process. This is exactly the flow that we have discussed in problem statement. Create application is all about creating an application from the mobile application by the user. Then underwriter opens it from his web application and tries to request for more documents. Customer uploads the documents requested, and the underwriter goes and approves the application. So this is what is the problem statement that we have discussed. Right now you see this blinking light, which is session persistence on. So we have enabled the session persistent feature on the create loan application, and underwriter request more documents, and we don't see this this enabled on the last features. That is because we can't enable session persistence on the last script of the respective services. So if the session persistence is not turned on, the create loan application will have a session of a device, and the upload additional documents will have a separate session of the device, and the script for the upload document should start from the login, requesting more documents. So even in this case, like if session persistence is off, as and when the test is complete or the execution of this particular script is complete, the session will be closed. Okay, and underwriter approval will need a separate session. A new browser has to open, and the test has to execute it. So in which case, like, we will need to relog into the mobile and the web applications if there is no session persistence. But if session persistence is enabled, we just the session is retained for the login application where the loan application is applied. Similarly, where underwriter has already requested, so the session is actually retained. So from there, if the script the second script will be proceeded. So in which case, we reduce the steps of relogging into the application, navigating to that particular page. So those things can be avoided. Okay, this way, it saves time. It also reduces the number of steps that we are writing into the application. So overall execution will be much faster. And I have already executed these scripts. So let's quickly look at why the test has failed on the first execution. Here you see I have not enabled the session persistence for the first two scripts. So how we get to know whether session persistence is enabled is we will see this icon. If you look at the steps of this, so it says click on the view application. So it is not logging in from the first, and then it is continuing with the steps. Similarly, if you can also play a video here, you see it starts from the application from wherever the application is earlier loaded. Okay, it doesn't create a new session here. Okay, so it's continuing to execute from the same session. Even in case of web, let's look at the other video. See, if it's already on a page, it is not logging in and then starting the action. So that is where there is a continuation of script execution when there is a session persistence. But in case if we have not enabled session persistence, the subsequent script should be logging into the application and then performing different actions. Okay, so that is the main difference, why we need session persistence. Okay, to summarize, session persistence will reduce the number of steps, will increase the pace at which the tests are executing. It increases more reusability.
Duplication of steps. We don't need to repeat the setup or the login script multiple times. Okay, it improves the reusability. So given that there are a lot of advantages, I'm sure this will be a game-changing solution for your end-to-end testing needs. Would request you all to try this feature and reach us out on our socials in case of any queries.
So let's understand why we need session persistence. Okay, session persistence is needed because it improves the efficiency and reuse of a session by reducing redundant logins or setup steps. Okay, it also reduces the execution times by avoiding unnecessary reinitialization of context. Realistic end-to-end testing is done using session persistence. So that's the main reason why we need session persistence. So to conclude, session persistence is a key enabler for true end-to-end testing, helping the teams for faster execution, higher reliability, and real-world simulation of customer scenarios.